Welcome back. Today we are going to discuss May 2021 current affairs based question. This will be part 1. In this part 1 we are going to discuss 25 questions, that is 25 topics. Okay, these 25 topics are from polity, geography, governance, economy, science and technology, defense, it comes under science and technology leave, and international organization. So let's take up questions. Consider the following statements. Oxygen concentrators. Oxygen concentrators. Why it is in use? We all know that India is facing oxygen crisis. To overcome this, the government has taken steps for oxygen concentrators. So what is all about the oxygen concentrator? It actually takes in air and filter out nitrogen for enriching oxygen. This enriched oxygen will send to the people or person in need of oxygen on the bed. Okay, this is the process happens within the oxygen concentrator. But in oxygen concentrator there is two important process or technology used. One, pressure swing adsorption technology. Another one is membrane segregation. Most of the oxygen concentrators are based on pressure swing adsorption technology. So pressure swing adsorption technology, in the name itself says some adsorption is happening. Means what is this? Adhering to the surface. If some molecule is there, particles will adhere to this surface. Okay, what are these particles? Obviously when the air enters into the system, imagine this is a system, into this system particles will adhere to this surface. Which particle will not adhere to this will passes to the system. So which is passing? What is the name of this concentrator? It is oxygen. So obviously oxygen will pass. Which is adhering here? That is nitrogen. Why we focusing on nitrogen? Because what is the composition of atmosphere? Nitrogen is 70%, right? So it is very important to eliminate nitrogen. So this element which is used to adhere nitrogen for the nitrogen purpose, this element is known as zeolites. Okay, these zeolites are made up of, these are crystalline, made up of aluminum oxides and silica oxides. So where these can be used? These can be used for chromatography or electronic packaging and etc. So now let's see the questions or options. Oxygen concentrator uses pressure swinging adsorption technology to filter out nitrogen gas. It's correct. Oxygen concentrator uses zeolites to absorb the atmospheric nitrogen and then venting the nitrogen. This is correct. So answer is C. So definitely you should remember the technologies and the process taking place in the oxygen concentrator. Come to the consider the following statements regarding GST input credit. So what is GST input credit? First you should know about the GST now. So what is GST? GST is nothing but single comprehensive tax imposed on supplying of goods and services. Okay, so GST is also one of the destination based sorry destination based taxation. Okay, previously we used to follow origin based taxation. With the GST we have converted ourselves to the destination based taxation. So first, when it comes to GST, you should know who proposed this GST at first. It is Kelkar Task Force. In 2003 itself, they have proposed it. Okay, but government has brought in by the 101 Constitutional Amendment Act. So GST is enforced with this amendment. So what is the features of GST now? GST is multi-tax rate. It has multi-tax rates, that is 5%, 12%, 16% slab and 28% slab. Okay, and GST has GST Council. It is a features, right? GST Council. Okay, this council is constitutional body or not? It is constitutional body because it has established under the article 279A. Okay, so what is another feature? It is destination tax. I'll come to know what is the difference between the destination based tax and origin based tax. Okay, another feature of GST is what? Input tax credit. Okay, another feature is what? It has dual taxation. Okay, so in GST, right, GST, one is central GST, it has state GST, it has, and dual GST it has. Okay, central GST will be levied by the center only, and these will be levied by the state. These will be levied by both center and state. Okay, so what this GST Council does, just now I said it is constitutional body, right? What it does, it decides the GST rates. Okay, and which should be included in which slab, or whether it should be exempted from the GST or not. This council will decide. Okay, how they will decide? With the majority votes. Majority should be 3/4. Okay, so how the votes are given? Center has given 1/3 of vote share, and the states has given 2/3 of vote share. So this is about, and this council headed by the PM or FM. FM means finance minister. It is FM, not PM. Okay, so this is about the GST and its features. Some of the features, that's it. And coming to input credit. What is this input credit tax? It's very simple. Take its company A and its company B. Both are producing. It is in country 1. It is in country 2. Both are producing the same thing. Okay, what they are producing? They are manufacturing shoes. Take example as shoes. The shoe company guy will go and buy raw material. Okay, this raw material cost for him will be take example 200 rupees. Okay, in this he had paid, in this 200 he had paid 20 rupees as tax. Okay, now what this guy will do, here also same thing, he'll buy this and 200 rupees and he'll pay 20 rupees tax. Okay, so what this guy will do here, manufacturing guy, definitely after buying the raw materials he have to produce the product, so he will add some more to these raw materials, he will add some other materials, that is called value added, value addition, and he'll produce a product now. Okay, he'll produce a product now. This product cost will be take 250 rupees. Okay, in this if he want to sell he have to pay 10% tax. Okay, so 10% tax of this much is how much? Totally it will become 275 because 10% tax is 25 rupees. Okay, here also the same thing, the value added, product produced, and 250 rupees and 10% tax, and totally 275 rupees. Okay, when now if it is GST, if this tax is GST, imagine if this tax is GST, what happens? It happens because what happens here, 20 rupees already he paid for 200, in this 200 rupees 20 rupees tax he already paid. Again in 250 rupees he have to pay 10%, means what, in this 200 there is this 200, in this 250 there is this 200, right? Okay, the additional cost is 50 rupees. Okay, for this 50 rupees do you think he have to pay 25%? No, right? Because he already paid in the, for this 200 rupees, in the 200 rupees 20 rupees tax is there already. So he have to, how much he have to pay? He have to actually pay 25 minus 20 is equal to 5. When GST is implemented, okay, this tax, whatever the tax, additional tax is involved unnecessarily, this tax offset is known as input credit. Okay, this is known as, this country is following destination based taxation. Okay, what about this company, if this country is not following any destination based taxation, nothing, how much here the tax value is? Here the tax value is 20 rupees plus 25 rupees, so 45 rupees. So here the product cost will be 275 rupees. Here the product cost, how much it will be? 250 plus he have to pay only 5 rupees, so 255 rupees. So which is cheaper here? This is cheaper. So the product with the, this is known as, this is actually known as origin based taxation. Okay, so now see, with the GST the tax is 250 rupees, 255 rupees. Without GST the tax is 275 rupees. Understood? Why 272? See, 255, 275. Because this guy is paying 20 rupees tax and 25 rupees tax. Here this guy is paying 20 rupees and 5 rupees. Okay, so totally is paying just 25 rupees tax. This guy is paying 45 rupees tax. Okay, it matters a lot, it makes a big difference, 20 rupees difference. Okay, this is destination, this is origin based taxation. Okay, here you can see why it is origin based taxation this much, because here it is cascading effects are there, right? Because already he paid tax when he is buying raw materials, that is in 200 rupees. Again with this, for this 200 rupees he added some value addition, that is 50 rupees. Okay, again here when you calculate 10% tax, 25 rupees. Okay, again for this value addition he should not, how come he'll pay half of the tax? 25 rupees is huge because he already paid here 20. Actually you should subtract 25 minus 20, it is 5%, he have to, 5 rupees he have to pay. So this is the difference between the origin based taxation and destination based taxation. Okay, in destination based taxation the tax amount will reduce. Okay, now I am saying okay fine, you will get the GST input credit tax in GST input tax credit, but who will give this? As I told you, this raw material supplier is giving you raw material, right? What this guy will, you are buying from him. Okay, that will be your 200 rupees. Okay, this guy will go and file GST R1. Okay, about the purchaser, about you, all the information he will file in this GST R1. Okay, you purchase from him, so you will go and file GST R2. Okay, whatever he filed in this R1 will come under GST 2A. Okay, these whatever the tax you have to get money, because you have to get how much? 20 plus 25, right? Totally 45, but actually you have to pay only 25, so 20 rupees you have to get. Okay, these 20 rupees credit will be credited to the digital electronic credit ledger. From here these company A in the country 1 can use to repay its tax liabilities. And who is eligible for this input tax credit? Whoever registered under the GST. Means what? If you are not registered under GST, if you are going and doing trade under a person or a company who is not registered under GST, though here you have registered and you are doing trade with this guy who is unregistered, so what happens? Because this guy is not able to file GST R1, you will not get any input credit. So who is the loser here? You, because on you again all the taxes, what is that? Origin tax will fall, means you have already paid 45 rupees tax. If you can only submit your input voice and this guy submits his input voice along with your information, then government will give you back 20 rupees. Otherwise this 20 rupees you will not get, so you will be facing origin based type taxes. So it is mandatory that to register under the GST network. So now you have understood, right, how GST input tax credit will allow you to reduce the taxes on the products. Okay, now the question is, now some people are asking to exempt GST from oxygen concentrators from GST. Some people are asking to keep oxygen cylinders, I already said 5%, 6%, sorry 12%, 16%, 28. They are asking to keep in the 0 and there is one more thing also, 0%. Okay, 0% limit. So you tell me whether these oxygen cylinders should be kept under 0% or reduce the taxes on GST or should be exempted. Definitely you should keep within the GST, but the tax should be reduced, because if you exempt from GST, what happens? You will not get from any input credit. When you don't get an input credit, oxygen concentrator who is following GST, his cost will be 255. Your cost will be 275. So which one people will use? People will use only this one, not this one. So that's why it is in news. So now let's see the options. Only registered manufacturers or suppliers or agents or any other person mentioned are eligible to claim input credit for tax paid. This is correct. Just now I have explained. Input credit is only allowed if suppliers has deposited the tax he collected from buyer. This is also correct. So answer is C. So let's see the third one. Now I forgot to say one thing. Imagine now we have removed GST on oxygen concentrators. Okay. Now the cost will be 275. Someone who is importing oxygen concentrators from China or some other country. Okay. So whether this will be cheaper, right? This will be 255. Why 255? Because on imports IGST will be applied. Okay, automatically these prices will reduce. But in domestically produced oxygen concentrators, on domestically produced oxygen concentrators, GST has been exempted, so it is 275. But it is not exempted for the every oxygen concentrators that is produced in China or any other. So they have to pay, whoever importing this, they have to pay IGST. So it will be lesser. So it will be costlier. So people will buy this one. So domestic industries will be affected. So come to the third one. With reference to the asset construction company. What is this asset reconstruction company? It is nothing but bad bank. What is this bad bank? The name itself, it is there. It is, imagine this is a bank which is facing NPAs. This bad bank will go and buy these bad loans. Bad loans means NPAs. Buy means what? If a person, some people have taken loan but fail to repay. Loan means banks will not give for free, right? They will take some collateral. These collaterals will be bought by these bad banks. These bad banks will give money to the banks so that it will provide relief to the banks, and it will provide capital also for the banks, so banks can run in healthy fashion. Okay. Now what these bank, how they will buy? Okay, we are saying these bad banks will go and buy from the banks who are facing NPA. Okay, these will give these collaterals. These will give what? Cash. Yes, it gives cash. That is only 15% of cash, and remaining 80%, 85% it will give security receipts. Okay. So the another question is, okay fine, they are doing this, is it legal? Yes, it is legal. It comes under SARFAESI Act. It is established under SARFAESI Act 2002. What about if there is unsecured loans? But unsecured loans, these bad banks will not take care, because The SARFAESI Act itself will take care only about secure loans. It is for the secure loans, not for the unsecured loans. That's why bad bank is concerned only about the secure loans. Okay, that's why it will go and buy bad loans and or by buying collaterals. So what are the issues now? Why it is in news now? Because economy is falling, right, collapsing. So obviously NPAs will increase. When NPAs increases, banks will feel the pressure to ease these banks. Bad banks will act like Batman. So, but already banks are facing lot of NPAs. So what these ARCs did, they did little bit, but it's not much effective. Why it is not effective? They have their own problems. Obviously, NPAs are, obviously we know NPAs, total NPAs is more than 11 lakh crores. From where this 11 lakh crores this ARC companies will get? Moreover, these ARC companies are owned by the private players. Okay, from where they will get this much money? So there is issue of capital for them. And another issue is, okay, by they have arranged the capital and bought the security. Okay, after getting security they can't keep with them, they also have to sell, otherwise how they will make money, right? There should be a market, right? Who is ready to, which is ready to buy these distress collaterals. Okay, but there is no ready market. So they are these ARCs, because they are owned by the private, why one private company will go and buy NPAs collaterals and keep with them when they are not able to sell in the market? Definitely they will not do it. Without any profit, these people will not do anything. And another one is the banks who is selling the NPAs, quoting very high rates. Okay, these ARCs cannot buy bonds or collaterals for that high rates, because they also have to make profits, right? So they are not buying, and they lack professional staff. Like that, there are many other challenges which this NRC is facing, and government is also not giving any equity for these NRCs. So government came up with new asset reconstruction company policy. In this new, now government will establish state owned banks and private owned banks as ARCs. Okay, and another one is, however, in this also government is not ready to give any equity. So again, it is suspected that these new asset reconstruction company will be effective or not. Here I forgot to say one thing. I told that these ARCs will sell for 15% cash and 85% as a security receipts. But who can invest in these security issues? Only qualified investors. So they are restricted to the qualified investors. Not because of that they are not able to sell these security receipts. One more questions. These are bad banks, right? Okay. So is there a provision for them to maintain capital adequacy ratio? Bank is bank, bad or good? Okay, definitely there is a provision to maintain capital adequacy ratio, that is 15% they have to maintain. Who regulates this asset reconstruction company? I already told, it comes under FR SARFAESI Act. Okay, This SARFAESI Act comes under RBI. Okay, so RBI regulates this asset reconstruction company. So let's see the options. It is a company which buys the non-performing assets from banks and financial institutions. Correct. The legal basis for setting up of asset reconstruction company derives from SARFAESI Act. Correct. RBI and SEBI have power to regulate ARC. Wrong. So answer is A. If you eliminate 3, 3, 3, you will get A as answer. Let's see the fourth question now. Consider the following passage. Due to natural crisis, the national government announced lockdown and industries were closed. After the 8 months of lockdown lifted, okay, after the 8 months of lockdown lifted, it's already lifted. 8 months back it has lifted. The economic growth is marginal, but retail inflation has breached tolerance band. Means what? Tolerance band we'll talk about later. Now the question is, okay, chalo, I'll tell you about the tolerance band. Who will set this tolerance band? Means what? The range of inflation. Who will set? Is it RBI or the government? It's government. Okay. Government will set the tolerance band. What is the tolerance band? It has set 4 plus minus 2. Means it should be between 2, 4 or 6. Inflation should be. But now the inflation has crossed in May 6.3%. Okay. Inflation means what? The prices of goods or something is increasing. How it will increase is the question now. It will increase by two ways, right? One is through demand, another one is through supply. Imagine if demand is here. Okay, demand is constant. Imagine demand is constant, but supply is reducing. This is supply. Imagine it. This is supply. It's reducing, 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 reducing. But demand is constant. Demand is constant, or it may be reducing very in small amount. So obviously, when imagine, I'll take you example. Take mangoes, because this is monsoon summer season, right? So they are 7 mangoes. Okay, and there are only 4 people. So mango rate, how much it will be? It will be only 10 rupees per mango. Okay, so because the mangoes are high, but there are 4 people, all the people want mangoes, but the number of mangoes now is reduced to 6, right? But still it will be 10 only. Okay, because there are just 4 people. If it reduce, number of mangoes reduced to 5 now, maybe it may become 11 or 12, because still the number of mangoes is higher than the number of people. Now it becomes 4 mangoes and 4 people. Okay, now it will become 15 rupees. If there is only 3 mangoes, 4 people, okay, all of them want mangoes. Now it will become 20 rupees. Only 2 mangoes, 4 people. Now it will become 40 rupees. Only 1 mango. How this vendor, how much ever he says, that much will be the cost. That can be 100, 200, 300, 400, like that. So due to the supply constraints, the inflation is increasing. Okay, just supply constraints? No, because now you, if you observe, lockdown, after lockdown, right, what is this, after 8 months of the lockdown lifted, still it has breached the tolerance limit. Why? The retail, the economic growth is very less. Why it is growth is less? Because the production is not increasing. Why production is not increasing? Because labor supply is low. Okay, when labor supply is low, what happens? Labor wages will increase. Okay, when the labor wages increases, what happens? Automatically the company owner, the manufacturer owner will try to employ less labor. When less, with the less labor, he will produce less. Automatically again the supply will fall. Okay, that's it, right? It will fall. So again the supply constraint will come. So when there is a calamities like COVID-19, okay, this type of situation will take place. Means what? The main thing is supply constraint and the cost push factor. Cost push factor means what? Increase in wages, like that. So that's why inflation is increasing. See, inflation is here not increasing because money is flowing into the economy. Okay, it's because of supply constraint is reducing. Okay, if money grows into the economy, what happens? Demand increases. But here supply is reducing, demand is either constant or reducing slowly. If supply keeps on reducing, then demand also will, though it will look like it will be constant, but it looks like it is increasing. Because now, just now we have discussed, demand is constant but number of mangoes became only one. It looks like demand is very high, but actually it has not increased, it is the same amount of demand. Whether the inflation increases by demand or supply, who is responsible to make sure that it is within this definite range, the inflation? That is MPC, Monetary Policy Committee. So what are the steps government have to take to revive this economy now? See, if demand is constant and supply is reducing, okay, what government have to take now steps? Government should make sure that this supply is also increasing, okay, to match the demand. How it will make sure that supply is increasing? Okay, you have to give incentives to the manufacturing sectors, like production tax should be reduced, like GST should reduce. Okay, so that the product cost will reduce. Okay, if indirect taxes reduces, product cost will be reducing. When production cost and product cost reduces, what happens? People tends to buy. Okay, slowly demand also will start increasing. Okay, and these incentives that government has given will save manufacturing owner some amount. Okay, with this amount, what he does, he tries to employ more labor to increase the production. When the news goes out that manufacturing owners are employing more and more people, then people who went back to their places will come back to the cities. Okay, when they come back, then the availability of labor will increase. When the availability of labor increases, obviously the wages will reduce. So we can eliminate these cost push pressures. Then like that we can save the economy from falling down. But it's very easy to discuss, but implementation of this will be very difficult. So answer is here is it's 2. So answer is A. Now arrange the evolution of human species in chronological order. Australopithecus, Homo habilis, and Homo sapiens, Homo erectus. It's actually Homo habilis. Homo habilis. Okay, you have to arrange it in chronological order. It's very simple. If you know that first species is Dryopithecus, Ramapithecus, Australopithecus, in Homo. First one is Homo habilis, second one is Homo erectus, third one is Homo sapiens. So this is a chronological order. Okay, if you know what is this now, Australopithecus is the first, and Homo habilis. Actually, it's Homo habilis is the second. 1, 2. Next Homo erectus is third. Next one is Homo sapiens is 4. So 1, 2, 4, 3. Answer is B. But why it is why they have asked why I have asked this in as a question, because in Homo sapiens there is one species called Neanderthal. Okay, this Neanderthal is very prone to the infections like COVID-19. Means the death rate will be more to this Neanderthal species who evolved to this species. In this genome, the death rate will be very high. This was found out recently by the scientist. That's why it is in news. Come to the sixth one, which of the following disasters covered under the state disaster relief fund? So because COVID-19 has been announced as a notified disaster by the government last year, and recently government has given grants to the state disaster relief fund, released grants to the state disaster relief fund on the recommendation of financial commission. So definitely you should know what are the disasters covered under the state disaster relief fund. Can you guess what are the disasters covered under this? They are cyclones, drought, earthquake. These are very common that you should remember. Forest fires or fire accidents, flood, tsunami, hailstorm, landslides, avalanches, cloudburst, pest attack, frost, and cold waves is covered under the state disaster relief fund. These are the disasters you should definitely remember. Okay, so why it is in news? Because government has announced COVID-19 as a notified disaster under the state disaster relief fund. Okay, that's fine now. Now the issue is government has said that ex gratia will not be given to the people who died in the COVID-19 because the death rate has increased now this year, but ex gratia is not available under the disaster national disaster relief fund. Okay, so what people did, people approached Supreme Court, okay, asking for the ex gratia of 4 lakhs for the people who died due to the COVID-19. That's why it is in news. The state disaster relief fund, right, is constituted under what? Definitely we know that it is under Disaster Management Act 2005. So who will audit this? It is audited by the CAG, Comptroller and Audit General of India. Okay, Comptroller Audit General of India. It is there in the Polity Lakshmikant about his functions, his appointment, everything you can read. So come to the seventh question. Which of the following statement is correct regarding the term pangolin? P, actually it's not pangolin. If you read as pangolin, you will link it to an animal. Okay, so you should not read. It is a PANGOLIN. What is this PANGOLIN? It is phylogenetic assessment of global outbreak lineages. What is this? Phylogenetic assessment of global outbreak lineages. Okay, what does it, what is it? It is actually a software. Okay, it is a software. Now we know that we have been hearing that COVID-19 has taken many variants, right? One is UK variant, another one is South Africa variant, another one is Brazil variant, another one is double mutant variant. Okay, this is the most dangerous one. That's why in India people have lost, so many people has come to the COVID-19. Okay, these many variants are there, but for these variants you should assign some nomenclature you should assign. Okay, so for assigning this software has been developed. Okay, what are the nomenclature assigned? It is for UK variant, it is B117. For Brazil it is P1. For South Africa variant it is B1351. For double mutant it is B1617. Okay, you should remember this. Why? Because UPSC may ask in match the following also, because it's not a joke, right? A double mutant has taken more than 2 lakhs of lives of Indian citizens. So definitely you should be aware of these mutants with their nomenclature. Okay, so what are the options? It is a software developed to implement the dynamic nomenclature of COVID-19. This is a COVID-19 virus lineages. Answer is A. If you see, it is a mission started to protect pangolins. So there is nothing like mission which started to protect pangolins like this. So it is wrong. It is just to trap you, and that's it. And moreover, it is a name given to medicine produced by pangolin scales, because pangolin scales are used for medicines also. This is also to trap you. That's it. But these both are wrong. Answer is A. Come to the eighth question. Which of the following agreements was signed between US and India? Okay. Why I have asked this question? Before knowing that, you should know what are the agreements actually signed. The agreement of General Security Military Information Agreement is signed way back in 2002. Okay, this is to exchange the military information available. Okay, next one is Logistic Exchange Memorandum of Agreement. This is signed in 2016. This is to allow their military bases for refueling and replenishment. Okay, next one is Communication Compatibility and Security Agreement. This is to provide communication security equipment. Okay, the basic exchange and cooperation agreement is to exchange about satellite data and geospatial data between the countries. If you know these four, the purpose of these four, this is agreed in 2020. Okay, if you know this purpose, then now you can easily guess why I have asked, because P-8I patrol aircraft, the US State Department has approved the sale of P-8I patrol aircraft and related equipment. What is this equipment? This aircraft will be fitted with encrypted systems. Okay, these will come under which one? Under the third one. So I have asked all the agreements, because UPSC may ask about this or about P-8 aircraft. Mostly about P-8 aircraft it may not ask. So I thought that it may ask on agreement, because in 2020 means it has asked about the US and India relationship. So there are chances, there are some chances that in 2021 they may ask in prelims simple questions like this. So it's better to know about these agreements. So answer is D. Now come to the ninth question. Which of the following are correctly matched? Why I have asked this question? India is already facing COVID crisis. Okay, and along with this, India has faced now forest accident issues. Okay, where in the COVID hospital itself, where in Gujarat state, that is in Bharuch. Okay, so I thought that it's better to ask question on this. It's a very simple question. Health is in which state list? Yeah, which list? It is state list, right? We all know it. Many times I have discussed in last previous videos also. Now what about the fire service? It comes under union list or state list or concurrent list? Again it comes under state list. What about disaster management? Because these COVID requires disaster management, and fire accidents also requires disaster management. Just now we have discussed about the notified disasters under state disaster relief fund. Okay, so which under which list it will come? It will come under union list or state list or concurrent list. I already discussed this thing in the previous videos. It will not come under any of the list. Okay, that's why the union government 97th item of union list, by using this power. What is this power? It is a residuary power. which is given to the parliament to frame a laws which are on items which are not mentioned in state list or union list or concurrent list. Okay, so government has made Disaster Management Act 2005 using its residuary power. So now come to the 10th question. Okay, which of the following falls under the small saving instruments? Why I have asked this question? Can you guess why suddenly small saving instrument is in use? Because first government has said that we are going to reduce interest rate on savings, the small savings account. Okay, then later now government had decided that no, we are not going to reduce it. Okay, why actually, why government has reverted back from its decision? Because if I deposit in account, if I don't get good interest rate on my savings, why I will actually go and deposit? I'll keep money with me, or I will give money for lending purpose, or I will eat, I will consume. Okay, so there if government do these many things, okay, what happens? The saving rates will reduce. When saving rates reduces, what happens? The amount of money available for the bank with the bank will reduce, so the lending also will reduce, so the investment will reduce, because investors will not get proper credit, otherwise the interest rate will increase. So if these reduces, everything reduces, obviously manufacturing output will reduce, and employment rate will reduce. Like that, it will have its own impact on the economy. And now the question is, what are the benefits from the small saving instruments? Can you guess? Definitely, when you are saving, what are the benefits you can actually get? Think. Very simple. Safety. Your small saving means what? The people are who are earning very less, they will be earning, they will be depositing in small saving schemes, right? Okay, so the hard earned money will be saved for the future needs. Okay, and for the retirement funds, okay, you will deposit money, and that money can be used after your retirement also. For tax savings, you can use for tax deduction, exemption, etc. Okay, the another one is unwanted expenditure, because you would have observed, if money is in your pocket or with you accessible anytime, you will go and spend immediately. But when money is deposited in bank, definitely it's very difficult. You feel that it is not that easily available. You have to go and you have to withdraw it, otherwise you have to wait for your time. If it is time deposit to withdraw, so it is not easy to withdraw. So definitely it will save you from unwanted expenditure. So these are the benefits. Now what comes under the small saving instruments? One is postal deposits. Okay, fine. Postal deposits means what? There are many postal deposits. Okay, it's time deposits, recurring deposits, saving accounts, monthly income schemes, and another one is saving certificates. What is the saving certificates? National Small Saving Certificate and Kisan Vikas Patra. Kisan Vikas Patra. Next, Social Security Scheme, famous one, Sukanya Samriddhi Scheme, Public Provident Fund, Senior Citizens saving scheme. Okay, all these things comes under the small saving instruments. Whatever the money is credited in the in the schemes will be transferred to where? Will be transferred to the National Small Saving Fund. It comes under Public Account of India. It is administered by Ministry of Finance, in particular Department of Economic Affairs. This is what you should know about the small saving instruments. Now let's see the options. Postal deposits, Kisan Vikas Patra, and Sukanya Samriddhi scheme. Answer is D. Very easy. Once you know, it is very easy. Which of the following states with which of the following states Myanmar shares border? If okay, if it is northeast region. Myanmar shares border with, this is Arunachal Pradesh, right? Okay, here what will be? Everybody knows. Here Meghalaya will be there. This is Sikkim, and this is Assam. Sorry. This will be Assam. Here one tick. Here another tick. This will be, so this is Assam, this is Nagaland, this is Manipur, this is Mizoram, this is Tripura, this is Meghalaya, this is Sikkim. So Myanmar shares border with Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Nagaland, Manipur, Meghalaya. So answer is 1, 2, 3, 4. Because Tripura is here, right? Tripura is here. It shares border with, what is this? This is Bangladesh. So answer is 1, 2, 3. C. Why it is in news? Because Myanmar nationals, okay, were stranded in Manipur. The High Court has asked for safe passage of this Myanmar for the UNHRC, which is present in Myanmar border. And moreover, not because of this thing, and the military coup took place in Myanmar. For that also it is in news. So it's better to know about the borders with the Indian states which shares border with Myanmar. So answer is C. Come to the 12th question. Which of the following principles emphasize on health approach? One Health approach. See, One Health is very important concept. It talks about the recognition of interconnectedness with humans, animals, and their shared environment. This is in news because of the COVID. COVID is one of the zoonotic disease, means disease spread from animals. So this One Health concept is in news now. So which organization actually brought a blueprint regarding to this One Health? It is FAO and World Organization for Animal Health. Okay, with the combiningly they form an agreement, blueprint. They brought blueprint. So this One Health approach is established in principles. One is Manhattan Principles, that is 12 principles. Another is Berlin Principle. What is this Berlin Principle? It is updation of this Manhattan Principle. This Berlin Principles was drafted in 2019. So answer is B. But this One Health is an issue, right? It should be maintained. It should be maintained at any cost, otherwise these diseases will come. So what are the steps that government has taken, Indian government has taken to maintain this One Health approach? Government has established National Standing Committee on Zoonosis. Okay, when in 1980s itself it has established. Okay, and the Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairy has launched several schemes to contain the prevalence of animal diseases. Okay, soon this department will establish One Health unit within the ministry. Recently, funds are sanctioned for setting Center for One Health at Nagpur. So these are the steps taken by the government for One Health framework. So this is what you should know. Next one is about the Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. This is the scheme established, launched in 2015 by the central government. Okay, what is this scheme about? This scheme provides loan for non-farm and corporate for encouraging enterprise, micro entrepreneurs or individuals. Okay, so they provide loan, right? So do you think this Mudra provide loan directly to these micro entrepreneurs and individuals? No. Mudra is refinancing institution. Means what? It provides funds to whom? Banks, NBFCs and micro financial institutions. Okay, these people will provide funds, loans to these micro enterprises and individuals. Now the question is, how much they will provide the loan? Provide the loan up to 10 lakhs. Okay, there are different type of loans. One is Shishu. Shishu means what? The name itself says it is very small, so less than 50,000. One is Kishore. Kishore means what? Medium, so 50,000 to 5 lakhs. Another last one is Tarun. It is 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs. So now it provides loan, we know, but what type of loan it provides? The loan provides free collateral loans. Means what? You don't need to submit any collateral or bonds to the banks. So this is about the Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. Okay, and why it is in news? Because the finance minister has released the report. In the report says that under this program 14 crores people got loans sorry, 28 crores people. Okay, worth of 14.3 or something, around lakh crores. So this is what you should know about this question. And let's see the options. It was launched by to provide loans to the non-corporate and non-farm small micro enterprises only. This is true. We can even say it is true because the amount of loan availability is just up to 10 lakhs, right? So why corporates will take loan from this? So Mudra lends directly to, no, not directly. It is refinancing, right? I have said it gives money to the three people: bank, NBFCs, MFIs. The loan under the scheme is are collateral free loans. So answer is C. So come to the 14th question. Which of the following statements is or correct regarding counter cyclical provisioning buffer? Counter cyclical provisioning buffer. These provisioning buffers is to save banks extraordinary times of economy. So it says that the specific amount of banks need to be kept aside in good times. Why in good times? If tomorrow, if banks has to face any emergency or crisis, these funds can be used. These counter cycle provisioning buffer funds. The situation like they can be used in a situation like COVID-19, where economy growth is falling. So these type of the banks have started building such reserves just after the pandemic COVID-19. This is wrong. They have started since 2010 is the answer. So if you know this point, eliminate this answer is A. And come to the 15th question. Which of the following statements is or correct? See, why I have asked this thing, because bond yields are falling. Okay, what happens to the economy when bond yields falling? This thing you should know. For knowing that, you should know about the bond yields and the price of the bond, the relationship between the bond yields and price of the bond. Okay, now we'll see. You are a company, imagine company. Okay, you released bonds S, and investors will come and invest. This bond value is 1000 rupees stake. Okay, he will come and invest. Okay, if he invest, how much you are giving him the return in returns? 100 rupees. Every year you will give 100 rupees to him. Okay, so this is a coupon. This is known as a coupon payment. Okay, so coupon payment, the value of bond is value of bond into 100. is equal to what? Bond yield percentage you will get. Now if you calculate for this, how much it is? It is 100 by 1000 into 100. Bond yield is 10%. Okay, this is known as coupon rate also. Now what you are doing, after 1 year you will release another bond, that is known as bond P. Take it as example, let it be bond P. Okay, now the bond, you will say that this bond price is 1000 rupees. Okay, but you will give interest rate 12 rupees. So the people who are getting invested here for 1000 rupees will get 100 rupees only. Here the people who are invested here, they will get 120 rupees. Means what? Here bond yield interest rate is increased. Okay, means what? 12% is equal to 120 into 100 by 1000 is this is what the calculation says, right? Here the 2% it has increased. Okay, but it is 1000, this is 1000. Okay, the people who are invested here, they will feel bad, right? Obviously, and moreover they're feeling bad, it doesn't matter if there are many other investors. Okay, do you think they will invest here or here? Definitely they will invest here. To make these bonds to be competitive, what you have to do now? Okay, now you can't increase these bond yield, should be equivalent to this bond yield, so that the competition will be same. Okay, how you can make this bond yield equivalent to this bond yield? Think once. Means it should be 12%. Okay, and these people who are invested should be getting coupon payment as 100 rupees every time. And so what you should change? You should change the face value, this bond value, from 1000 rupees to you have to change to 833.4. Means what? You are reducing bond फेस वैल्यू, राइट? पहले कितना था? 1000 रुपीज़ था ना, अभी कितना के लिए रिड्यूस किया? 833.4. ओके, हाउ मच यू हैव रिड्यूस्ड? 1000 minus 833.4 means what? There is a fall of bond face value. Means what? If bond yield percent increases, there will be automatically fall of bond value. Means what? These will act as seesaw. If one goes up, this goes down. If this goes up, this goes down. Now you say, now in the market the bond yield is reducing, right? Falling. If it is falling, what happens? Bond face value will increase. Means 1000 rupees to it will become 2000 or 4000 or 10,000. Now you will say whether the investors will go and invest in these bonds or not. Definitely they will not invest, because previously it was 1000, now it became 10,000. Why I will invest? It will be a waste of money. So they will not invest that easily in the bond. Okay, what they will do? They will take away money and they will go to stock market and they will invest in equity. Because if it is 10,000, imagine if this guy is buying bond for 10,000, yield is reducing. We took a yield as 10% only. Okay, at first If this reduces to 8%, how much he will get? Very less amount he will get. So people will, it will be discouraging to invest in the bond market. So people will come out of the bond market and they will find another market, that is equity market. So it's not like guarantee. These may benefit. But who will benefit? Can you imagine who will benefit? Imagine one guy has invested 10,000 rupees on a bond. Tomorrow it has become 10,000 rupees because yields are falling and it became 10,000 rupees. Now what he does? He'll sell it off. Investors will benefit a lot who invested. They will sell it off for 10,000 rupees. So the capital gains will be very high. So answer is 19. See, this increase in bond yields will reduce. Yes, this is act as seesaw. If one goes up, one goes down. If one goes up, one goes down. Okay, so this is correct. Reduction in bond yield attracts. No, it will not attract. So to eliminate oh sorry, it's 3. So answer is, this is correct. Can bring, will bring, no, it's can bring, may happen. So answer is D. Which of the following is are correctly matched? Disputed areas between Kokhtash, Kyrgyzstan and Turkmenistan, Nagorno-Karabakh, Armenia and Azerbaijan, Kalapani, India and Nepal. These things we all know. And in last video I have explained about this. So you must be knowing. So what about this? This is actually wrong because this is not Turkmenistan, it is Tajikistan. So answer is C. Oh sorry, B. So answer is B. Come to the 17th question. Which of the following weather parameters are monitored by SAFAR? See, FASAR we directly link to the Delhi pollution, because whenever the Delhi pollution becomes very very severe, then you can see this organization in news always. But sometimes we may tend to forget that it is also does weather forecasting and research. Okay, it is not only about the air quality. What is this FASAR? It is System of Air Quality and Weather Forecasting and Research. Okay, it is an initiative of Ministry of Earth and Science. This was indigenously developed by Institute of Tropical Meteorology, Pune. Okay, now coming to the weather parameters it monitors. What are the weather parameters? Temperature, rainfall, humidity, wind speed and wind direction, and UV radiation and solar radiation. These are the 6 parameters it monitors. You should remember, because UPSC may not ask about the pollutants it monitor, but still I will say pollutants it monitor is particulate matter 2.5, particle matter 10, ozone, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, sulfur dioxide, benzene, and mercury and xylene. It monitors these pollutants. You should remember. But mostly it may ask, UPSC may ask this, or it may ask weather parameters, but I guess it may ask weather parameters because everybody would have mucked up by now all these pollutants. So answer is D. If you don't know, if you forgot about whether that it will monitor even weather parameters, then you may opt only A and come. That will be wrong. Come to the 18th question. With reference to the Asian Development Bank, which of the following statements is are correct? It releases the report Asian Development Outlook, correct. The member countries of bank are Asian countries only, wrong, because it include Pacific countries also. It promotes social and economic development in Asia only, no in specific countries also. So you remove these two, answer is A. Why I have asked? Because this Asian Development Outlook says that Indian economy is at risk because to the COVID-19. So when Indian economy is at risk, definitely it comes to the question of GDP. So I have asked the next question about the GDP. This is what I have asked about the expenditure method of GDP. So what you should know about what is the formula for calculating GDP. Private consumption, gross investment, government investment plus what? Government expenditure, right? Expenditure method. Government spending plus export minus import. So now if you know this one, you can easily answer this question. Which of the following parameters used for gross domestic product? Private consumption, gross investment, government investment. So answer is D. Don't think that UPSC may not ask these small questions. Definitely it will ask, because in 2020 it has asked about potential GDP in mains. So come to the 28th question. Which of the following statement regarding the Swamitwa is correct? Swamitwa. Here you should understand one thing. Rural areas issues is what? Lack of credit availability, right? Okay. Credit availability it's lack. Why it is lacked? Because poor land records. Okay, because of poor land records or documentation, they can't go to bank and submit their collateral and get loans. This is one of the issue. And another issue is what? Rural development, property tax determination. It's very difficult to determine the property tax in rural areas because of lack of documentation or reports. And another biggest issue is what? Property related disputes. Okay, these are the three main issues that rural area is facing for the rural development. So what government came up with to address this? Government came up with this scheme. What is this scheme? It is survey of villages and mapping with improvised technology in village areas. Okay, these will be implemented for 5 years from 2021 to 2025 by the Ministry of Panchayat. The technology needed for this is implemented by Survey of India. The Survey of India will come under which ministry? Ministry of Science and Technology. So So this is what you should know about this scheme. So let's see the options. It is a central sector scheme. Yes, true. Because we are talking about Ministry of Panchayat Raj and Survey of India. Nowhere we discussed about the state, right? It is a central sector scheme. It's correct. Implemented in all states. True. Implemented in all villages. Okay. Around 6.61 lakh villages. Its objective is to demarcation of rural inhabited areas, correct. Technology implementation agency is Survey of India, correct. Answer is D. Come to the 21st question. Consider the following statements. National Commission for Backward Classes is a constitutional body. The president specifies the socially and educationally backward communities in a state. President includes a community in the central list for socially and backward classes of for grant of reservation benefits. Which is correct in this, which is wrong in this, and why I have asked? Can you guess? I have asked because Supreme Court has struck down reservations for Marathas. They will come under OBCs according to the reservation granted by Maharashtra government. Okay, so when it is in news, definitely you should know about the National Commission for Backward Classes. So it is a constitutional body, it is true. Which article talks about it? It is article 338B. It became constitutional body. Which amendment? Through which amendment? 102 constitutional amendment. This 102 constitutional amendment has added one more article, that is article 342A. What is this? That is this one. This is a provision, so this is correct. The president includes it's a president who includes? No, it is parliament. So answer is A. Which of the following is or reasons for introduction of methane into the atmosphere? Digestion of food by cattle. Why only cattle? It can be human also. Okay, but I'm just saying this is correct. However, it is also human. Oil and gas production, correct. Rice farming, correct. Landfills, correct. And other waste management. So answer is D. Here you should know one thing. If UPSC asks this thing is fine. If it don't ask, it may ask like methane is produced by the breakdown of organic or inorganic material. It is organic because methane itself is organic. So you should eliminate inorganic. And come to the 23rd question. Why I have asked this question about dams in Afghanistan? Because the second largest dam is now occupied by Taliban. Okay, Taliban. The second largest dam is constructed by whom? Constructed by India? Question mark. Okay, now let's see the options. Dala Dam, Salma Dam, Shatut Dam. Okay, this is the second largest. It is constructed by USA, not India. Now I am asking, constructed or going to construct by India? Okay, so answer is, if you eliminate one, answer is B. Which is the largest dam in Afghanistan? That is Naglu. It is constructed by the finances of Soviet Union, under the supervision of Soviet Union. Now 24th question. Which of the following statements is or correct regarding the post-devolution revenue deficit? Let's see the options. It is a constitutional grant given by the center to the state. Is it correct or not? This grant is released as per the recommendations of the Finance Commission. Correct or not? This is correct. It comes under Article 275. And it is also correct because it is released as per the recommendation of Finance Commission. The grants under this Article 275 is paid out of Consolidate Fund of India. Parliament may determine to which states it have to provide grant. So let's see the options. Okay, this is correct and this is also correct. The answer is C. Come to the 25th question. Consider the following statement regarding mucormycosis. It is a bacterial infection, very famous now. It became. By now you should know it is a bacterial or not. It is not bacterial. It has another name that is known as black fungus. So definitely it is fungal infection. So eliminate one. Okay, fine. You should know what is second one. It does spread between people or between people and animals. What about this? Is it correct or not? Many may not know it. Because of COVID-19, they may think it will spread between the people to people also, but it is wrong. Answer is D. It does not spread. And it has a treatment. Sometimes it requires even surgery. So that's it for today. Thank you.